I'm not so sure there's any relationship between crypto prices and anything in the economy or anything like that. I'm not convinced that there's a correlation. I think that crypto is my take on crypto and why it's been so strong is because people, I think we're selling it in crypto is an asset that people just don't generally sell. And people, because of all the restrictions on trading crypto and things like that, it's an asset people buy, they don't sell that much. And I think a lot of people got nervous through all the stuff that was going on between Binance and FTX and all the bad ethical stuff. And I think it got some people nervous and weekend sold. And I think when the market didn't crash, everybody panicked to reload. And I think what you're seeing right now is just like, hey, because I know the way I think about crypto, and I'm like, oh my God, my positions were too small. So I reloaded. I didn't care what the price was because I wasn't selling it. It didn't matter. I wasn't like picking pennies for a certain amount. So I feel like, okay, crypto rallied because the weekends got out and everybody reloaded. And that's all. I don't think there's anything else to it. It's crypto now is the technology play that we thought it was all along. And we have to respect it for that, and we have to treat it as such. And we have to move forward, in that direction, despite what's happening, on the regulatory side. I mean, the SoFi news yesterday, I thought was very disheartening, because even though they're a competitor, not really a competitor of ours, but I guess you could say they're in the same kind of financial service space. I don't like to see anybody be forced by regulators to give up products. I think it's I think it's just it sends a bad message to the consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got to root for everybody in the industry, whether they're a competitor or not. You want to see crypto succeed, I think, generally speaking.
Yeah, I can't ever imagine we're going to give our customers to somebody else and say, hey, you take these. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, we're really excited to hand you off to
to bitcoin.com or blockchain.com, whatever it is, No,
exactly. Well, it's a great thing that we've moved past FTX. We've moved past Binance now. The industry can move on, and it's certainly a different setup, different situation than where we were just a year ago, if you think back to November of 2022. But I've got some things you might be interested in today, hopefully, if you want to jump into the show. It's been a great month so far, as you guys know, for crypto. We're going to talk about some altcoins and some ways that you can use the new tastycrypto platform, our self-custody wallet, to gain access to opportunities outside some of the larger market cap tokens. But when you just quickly look at returns here, Solana has had a great month, up almost 90%. Granted, we are moving off of lows, and in some cases, Bitcoin, if you look back over the last year, at one point was down 70+%. But big move across the board here. When you look at Cardano, Matic, which is Polygon's token, Doge, Ethereum, Bitcoin's actually, on a relative basis, has underperformed some of these, but we've seen some decent moves. So just to highlight that, I was kind of bullish, I think, coming into November for a variety of reasons, in one way or another. Maybe coincidentally, we saw that rally continue there. But Bitcoin has been one of the best performing assets year to date. When you look at this versus equities, you look at this versus gold and a variety of other assets. The NASDAQ is close, but year to date, Bitcoin's up 127%. If we look at some of those smaller cap tokens, such as Solana versus Bitcoin, that's up a lot more. So
yeah, the Solana move has been incredible. I just sold some Solana actually as you were talking. I was like, okay, well, I didn't realize it was where it actually is. So we're long a bunch of it. So I just sold some. I've sold about probably 35% of my position in Solana. Whatever.
Yeah, it's been a great trade. I think we're trading around 60 or so right now.
Yeah, I think it was 59 and change. Just sold it.
Nice. When we look at, kind of just a one more slide here around what's been going on in the market, that Bitcoin market dominance that we've been talking about in terms of the market cap of Bitcoin versus all the other crypto assets that we track, still above 50%. So it still hasn't shifted in terms of this environment where you're seeing alternatives to Bitcoin or smaller caps start to outperform, which to me is an indication that if this is the beginning of a bull market in crypto or in digital assets, then it's still very early, or it's early stage in that market, because what you'll typically then see is, a lot of catch up with the smaller cap tokens. Implied vols, though, a lot higher, makes this certainly a lot more fun to trade. It's a lot more interesting than it was when we were range bound for what felt like forever. So Bitcoin implied volatility on a 30-day basis is 57%. That gives you about a $3,000 weekly move here. And this is off of a spot price of, I think I calculated this at 37.7 earlier this morning. Just looking at correlations, a lot of times we focus on the dollar, we focus on interest rates. It is, it's exhibiting a pretty strong positive relationship with the NASDAQ here over the last month. So spot 6.5 in terms of the 30-day correlation. And when you look at the IV rank now, as we've moved into a period where we've got a little bit of a lower high in that 1-year vol, we've got a Bitcoin IV rank of 51 for reference. Bitcoin
has a IV finally implied volatility that finally overtook Tesla.
Yeah, finally.
So. But the difference is, to be fair about Bitcoin, is that, volatility doesn't really matter that much because we don't trade the derivatives. Yeah. Volatility just gives you more of an indication of like what the expected move is, but it doesn't, we still really don't trade the derivatives yet. Is it just because they're still, relatively illiquid versus other ways? There's actually, I don't think it was you that told me this, but I think I was talking to Edward last night or the day before, and he told me that the amount of notional that's trading on the CME Bitcoin futures, I think, exceeded like one of the cash, like on a daily basis, some of the cash markets. And I wasn't sure the exact numbers. But I guess the listed volume has gone way up, and the SIBO is about to launch their Bitcoin, their digital asset products. We're an investor in that exchange. And I think that, the products that they've created are a little more customer friendly. So I'm hoping they get good markets. Who knows? But anyway, I do think that eventually this is all going to come back to the listed marketplace. I mean, that's what the regulators all want. It's clean, centrally cleared, Sure. For sure. Yeah, and I've seen that as well when you look at some of the data around open interest and just the trading volume in there over the last month. November's been, I think, the highest on record, but certainly one of the best months there. Starting to see that institutional participation that we've talked about. I know everybody's focused on an ETF, but you're seeing positioning in those derivatives markets. There's more volume coming in there. There's certainly more participation. And what you've also seen is the forward curve has moved into contango, which for crypto is typically pretty bullish, because now you have the ability to trade the basis there. So, when you look at where spot is versus a 1 month or a 3 month contract, I think the spread is, there's about a 3% premium, which, on an asset that's 35,000, 40,000, whatever it might be, there's a decent premium in there, and certainly a much more bullish environment than it has been when you don't see that contango. So, all of that said, I want to talk about, trading this market where there might be some opportunities and how you can use tastycrypto to gain access to those. There's a variety of tokens that you can currently trade through tastytrade. Obviously, everyone is familiar with Coinbase and the offering that they have. But when you look at how early this is and you try to identify different projects, there's a lot of potential opportunities to speculate on if that's what you're interested in. And I certainly think that if you're in crypto, you're interested in speculation, you can do this directly on chain through a decentralized exchange. And in the tastycrypto app, we give you the ability to do this through the swap feature. So while you might be able to purchase Ethereum, Bitcoin, and a handful of tokens in a lot of places, in order to access the thousands of tokens that actually exist on chain, you're really going to need a wallet, and you're going to need a decentralized exchange. You're going to need access to that. And that's what we've been working on. And we're finally at a point where, it takes a while to build this stuff. As you know, it doesn't happen overnight. We're getting to the point where these features are in place. There's more liquidity in some of these exchanges. There's more stability, certainly, with our application. So it's something that we're excited about. And I'm going to walk you through it here today. So just a quick image of what the swap feature looks like in tastycrypto. If you haven't seen it, we've got a demo video, 10 seconds or so at the end of the show that we'll run through. But you can access everything I'm going to talk about here
in Tasty Crypto. So if we jump to the next slide, I've got a little bit of criteria. Like I said, very speculative. These can be treated or thought of as small cap companies. And so what we're looking at here in terms of the criteria for just trying to filter through the thousands of tokens that are out there, the tokens that we're going to show you are ERC20, means that they're an Ethereum token. They're available again through Tasty Crypto. We're looking at market caps between 100 million and 10 billion. You're going to see that most of these are closer to the $200 million market cap right now. And the way that I've filtered through this, we can look at the underperformers that might have an opportunity for a bounce, but we're also going to look at the top 5 price performers over the past week in dollar terms, and then also against Ethereum. And I think that's the key to a lot of this too, is to find that alpha. You want to look at this priced in ETH, because your benchmark or your beta is simply just going to be, I'm in Ethereum, I'm in Bitcoin, the 2 largest market caps. But if you want to find that alpha, what's performing against that is what we want to look at. So that said, if we just jump to the next slide here, these are some of the tokens that have done really well over the last week. So over the last 7 days, Centrifuge, Axlar, Origin Trail, you can see the category on the right-hand side. So these can really be thought of as, very early stage projects in some cases, very small micro cap or small cap companies. And there might be an opportunity in some of these. I don't own any of these tokens, certainly not going out here and saying, hey, go buy these. But if people are interested in speculating early stage growth market, when we think about digital assets, all the tokens that are available, I think what's really important to understand is that, yes, you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy Ethereum. If that's how you want to express your view, I think that's an interesting macro trade. But there are so many other things that you can participate in, and different projects and opportunities potentially that exist in the digital asset space. When we think about digital assets, we have to think well beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum. And some of these things might not exist, just like a lot of companies don't make it, but there's so much more that's happening on chain that's just never really talked about in the mainstream. And I kind of want to shine a light on that here today.
Okie.
So
interesting. Yeah, I don't know any of these. The hard part is, most people like us, we don't know any of these things.
Well, we'll start to focus on some of this a bit more. Again, this stuff is really, really small. They're extremely volatile, but that's what, to me, makes it interesting, what's fun about it. And again, you can access this all through Tasty Crypto. So these are some of the top performers over the past week. If you're looking at it from the other side, maybe more of a contrarian play, what if we find a bounce? What if we see, again, this market continue to trade higher? Here are some of those same tokens that fit that criteria, but the underperformers, and certainly, underperforming Ethereum as well. A variety of different tokens that exist out there. Some of these have been around for a long time, others haven't. But again, market caps that are going to be closer to that $200 million price or value, versus, some of the bigger stuff. Like if we look at Ethereum, 700 billion. Or Bitcoin 700 billion versus, these are just a couple hundred million. So wanted to simply just highlight that. That said, if we jump to the next slide, when you are participating on chain, there's some things that you need to be aware of. These are very speculative. Again, hopefully I've made that clear. High risk, high reward. The other thing to pay attention to is when you're trading on Ethereum on a layer 1, and we do have additional networks that are coming that'll be a lot cheaper to transact on. We talked about layer 2s a couple of weeks ago. We've got Polygon, that connection coming soon. But when you trade on Ethereum, just be aware of the gas prices. You can see, a swap here in our screenshot might cost you $30. It's not really economically feasible to trade, $100 worth of a token if it's going to cost you 30% to conduct that swap. It's simply just the gas fee there. So be aware of that and always do your own research. There's a ton of tools out there. We'll start to highlight these as well. We'll start to bring some of these into the Tasty Crypto platform, but look at sites like CoinMarketCap, Token Terminal, understand what this is. I think the other really important thing, and again, we'll bring this data into the application, is just to understand the issuance schedule, the supply that exists. Just like with an IPO, you have a lockup period, and there could be some selling pressure once that period ends. Those sorts of dynamics do exist here when you look at cryptocurrency and digital assets. So that said, just want to quickly, before we wrap things up, show everybody what this looks like in the application. You can download this today for both iOS and Android. We've got a short video of setting up a swap. So we're looking at Ethereum here. Click on the swap button. Here's your interface. And this is going to allow you to, right through this platform, swap any tokens that you have. So we'll look at some Ethereum that's associated with the wallet. If you want to swap that into USDC stablecoin, we have the gas tracker here. So you can see where that current network fee is relative to where it's been over the last few days. So you can put some context around that. You can see the price as well. And you can look at this across a variety of different timeframes for every single token pair that we support or that's supported through this decentralized exchange. Then you can see all the details around that swap as well. And this uses a decentralized exchange mechanism that's right on chain. Everything that we're looking at here, when you conduct this swap, it happens on a blockchain. So it's permissionless, it's decentralized, and you're in complete control, which I think is kind of cool.
It's really cool. Does any other brokerage firm have any of these tools?
The only other brokerage firm that I'm aware of in terms of retail brokerage is going to be Robinhood. When you look at Coinbase, they have a wallet. They have some of these tools as well. I haven't seen anybody with a gas tracker yet. I'm sure people will bring that. I thought that was cool and something that I always reference personally. But in terms of retail brokerages, to my knowledge, you've got us, you've got Robinhood, Coinbase. We can kind of bucket them in the same thing.
That's really interesting. It looks, and you guys did a beautiful job. You've got a really good dev team on this, and I hope over the next couple of years it gets some play, and people come back to this marketplace at least through venues like us. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate that. We're really proud of it. We think the design is sleek. It's pretty intuitive, and this is really still the very beginning. We've got a ton of stuff that's going to be coming over the next 3 to 6 months. And like I mentioned, Polygon and additional layer 2s, which will make it a lot cheaper to not only trade in DeFi, which is what we're talking about here. I mean, this is decentralized finance. This is trading without an intermediary. We will give you the access to all these different applications that run on chain, and we'll have a sleek interface for that as well, which we're building out at the moment. But before we wrap things up, I just also want to make a quick announcement. In the last update to the app, the last build that we released, we now have a partnership with PayPal. So if you have crypto with PayPal, or you prefer to use PayPal to purchase crypto, you can do that directly in the application if you are a US user. So in the US, you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy Ethereum with your PayPal account, or again, transfer existing cryptocurrency that you might hold. And you'll also be able to eventually move the PayPal stablecoin on chain and use that in place of USDC or USDT if you prefer to use that stablecoin. We'll have that connection in here as well. So just another way to kind of get on chain if you already have a PayPal account. And as we've talked about, I think quite frequently in the past, we will have the ability to transfer from the Tasty Trade brokerage as well. That's coming soon. The tech's been built. We just really have to release it.
Got to get on chain.
That's nice. I mean, you guys have done an amazing job with this. I hope that the Bat and I have to really
Step up our game.
We have to step up our game. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. We have to step up our game and start, trying some of these swaps and doing some stuff. And we've got to get some of our coins in there and start to actually use the technology that we're building.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think on the Tasty Crypto side, if anyone follows what we do on YouTube, we're trying to create more content around how to use this platform to participate in DeFi. We had a lot of interest following some of the liquidity pool shows. That's something that we want to lean into, and I want to show you guys how to do that. In all honesty, I mean, our tech has taken a while to build. This is not simple stuff, I'll put it that way. But we are getting to the point where the experience will be, in this app specifically, will be a lot better than it has been. Those connections to different decentralized applications will be seamless. The interface will be easy to use. And we'll also hopefully have some things that protect everybody from a lot of the potential security risks that still do exist today on chain, but we're evolving past at some point.
Nice. Okay. That's good stuff, Ryan.
Well, thanks, guys. That's it for me. And I suppose if anyone's interested, they can go out and download the Tasty Crypto app.
Thanks, my man. We're going to take a quick 90-second break and come back. We got more Tasty Live with a market measure next. Even the S&P is unchanged. So we'll be back in 90 seconds.
Sharply unched.
Sharply.